Why did you take the wedding Facebook page down? Silence. When are you coming home? So we can talk? I'm not. Nothing to say. We never spoke again. I anticipated looking at him several times, from the audience of a courtroom. I was going to go to every last hearing that I could. To remind him that I knew. There are still nights when I dream about it. In reality, I only saw him once more, an accidental run-in at my old house where he chased after me uttering that same nonsense about reconciliation. Today, he's deceased. No one will ever see him again. And that brings me indescribable relief. It was a warm day in April. I was 26. He was 42. We were engaged to be married in June, just 2 months away. The invites had gone out, expensive ones with gold foil accents that cost my mother a pretty penny and took 3 hours of bickering for he and I to agree on. The RSVPs had come back. The sheer volume of those damn pieces of cardstock required a plastic box to contain them all. I'd paid $1,500 out of my own pocket toward the deposit for the DJ and photographer and was about to drop hundreds more on the florist. I was admittedly resentful about that, but when he envisioned our venue and described, "I'm seeing lots of green," his blue eyes lit up like I hadn't seen in years, and it excited me that it excited him so much. I'd chosen my dress, that stupid bundle of ivory tulle and little sequins and floral appliques with a halter top that I despised, but my grandma demanded modesty, insisting that her priest would not marry us if I was wearing something strapless. The plans were all but complete. Everything felt like it was set in stone, so when those second thoughts came creeping in like bile inching up my throat before vomiting, I gulped and forced them back into my stomach, where they belonged, right? Sure, we had our issues. Drawn-out arguments that leaked into the following days. Nights spent on the couch because coming home to his drunkenness was more than I dared attempt to tolerate. His stint at rehab just a couple months prior, revealing a tangled web of lies all centered around Fireball whiskey. Doesn't every couple have issues? Besides, I felt crazy, ugly, and worst of all, old. I thought I should be thrilled, relieved that anyone wanted to marry me at all. Our issues were typical, I told myself, and he's a really great guy deep down. I reminded myself how incredible he was with my toddler, a child from a previous relationship who was only 6 months old when we started dating. He was Dad, and the only one she'd ever known. I'd be a fool to throw that away, and a selfish one at that. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. An uneasy sensation radiated out of my gut when I considered the permanence of my upcoming marriage, comfort only coming when I thought about nullification or divorce. Is that how a bride-to-be should comfort herself? Shouldn't I be excited about soon-to-be matrimony instead of comforted at the possibility of dun divorce? This didn't feel like cold feet. This felt like impending doom. So, one day after he left for work, I pulled out his laptop. I am not normally one to snoop. I don't go through my partner's phone, or email, or social media, looking for a reason for a fight. I think jealousy is an ugly emotion. Ignorance is bliss. But, I was about to marry this dude. Bet him half of my stuff that I'd love him forever. Just this once, I deserved to know if he was hiding anything. I think I was seeking reassurance that he was the man I told myself he was, the one, and I'd be ashamed that I ever suspected differently. I don't know if I was actually subconsciously looking for a reason to call off the wedding, but I sure as shit found one. I put on my CSI, Miami glasses, a la David Caruso, and got to work. My search began innocently enough. A handful of barely flirtatious messages with an old coworker. A ton of bookmarked porn websites and even more almost hidden folders of porn on his hard drive. Blondes, celebrity porn, Pornhub faves. Too many to count, let alone go through them all. He clearly had a problem. Now, I've never been one to be bothered by porn. Men watch porn. I don't think I've ever met one that hasn't. I admit it, I even looked through the celebrity folder, simply because my curiosity was piqued. But, this was a little over the top and only fed the queasiness in my belly. Little did I know, this was only the tip of the most nauseating iceberg I've ever encountered. I don't know why, but I hadn't gotten my fill yet. Something told me to keep digging. That I hadn't found it. So, I clicked on what would display every image saved to his hard drive, starting from the most recent. All images. And there it was. Staring back at me. Soft pink lips stretched into an oblivious grin. Big, round brown eyes full of innocence. A wise man once said something about smut, that he couldn't define it but he knew it when he saw it. This was that moment for me. It wasn't just any old smut. I never, ever thought I'd lay eyes on this variety of material and I never wanted to. What I saw that day can never be unseen. It burned my retinas and required a heavy dose of brain bleach to make it through the following months. It still makes me nauseous to recall those moments. Right before my eyes, on the 17 inches MacBook screen of the man I'd slept next to for years, was child porn. In complete shock, I clicked to the next picture and then once more. It was more of the same. I don't know what I was expecting. 3 was far more than enough to cause all of that nausea that had been brewing to erupt, exorcist style, onto his side of our bed. I left that day. I slammed the laptop shut, hard, and I swallowed even harder. Then I haphazardly packed up the necessities, crammed them into my tiny Jetta with my 3 dogs and 2 cats crawling all over the pile of stuff, picked up my child, and called my best friend to meet me at my mom's house now. I never looked back. For those who want to know what happened to him. The detectives found hundreds of images on his hard drive and countless internet searches for similar material. He ran back to his parents' house in Santa Rosa, CA as fast as he could. He was arrested, extradited back here, and posted bond. He committed suicide 10 days before his disposition hearing.